This is a film about a visit to the Vinson Base Camp at the foot of Mount Vinson, the highest mountain in Antarctica. Mount Vinson is a peak in the Sentinel Range of the Ellsworth Mountains of western Antarctica, overlooking the Ronay ice shelf. At 16,000 feet, or 4,900 meters above sea level, it is the highest mountain on the continent, which makes it one of the 7 summits, which are the highest mountains on each of the 7 continents. Climbing to the summit of all of them is regarded as a mountaineering challenge. Because of the logistics involved in getting to Mount Vinson, it is one of the more expensive of the 7 summits. Climbers heading to Mount Vinson fly to Union Glacier and land on its unusual blue ice runway. Climbers then stay at the ALE camp until the weather allows them to fly to Vinson Base Camp on one of ALE's Twin Otters. The 3 de Havilland Canada DHC-6 Twin Otter aircraft serving ALE are operated by Ken Boric Air from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. At the start of the Antarctic summer season, the Twin Otters are ferried down to Antarctica over a route that covers some 1,500 kilometers or 9,400 miles and takes about a week. At Rothera, a British Antarctic base, they change from wheels to skis before making the final leg to Union Glacier, where they operate from a compacted snow runway beside the ALE camp. Ground-penetrating radar is routinely used to look for crevasses in the area used by the ALE camp. Our trip lasted for some 4 hours with takeoff at 8:30 at night. However, as there are 24 hours of daylight during the austral summer, the time of day was not a factor. The principal factor affecting our flight was the weather conditions at both ends of the flight route. From the Union Glacier, it is about an hour's flying time to the Vinson Base Camp on the Branscombe Glacier at the foot of the Vinson Massif. The Twin Otter that would fly us to the Vinson Base Camp was manufactured in Canada 50 years ago in 1972. The actual rotational speed of the propellers cannot be gauged when watching videos of a propeller-driven aircraft, since the camera's shutter speed appears to either freeze or slow down the motion of the propeller blades. Hence, when the aircraft is in flight, a slowly moving propeller blade looks very wrong, as does the bent shape of the propeller blades due to the camera's significant rolling shutter. The Twin Otter is a 19-passenger stall or short takeoff and landing aircraft, so it wastes no time getting airborne. Ground-penetrating radar shows that the Union Glacier has a mean ice thickness of 1,450 meters or about a mile. We flew over a large featureless expanse of snow and ice with only a few mountains managing to thrust their peaks above the thick ice sheet. Occasionally, the uniformity of the ice sheet was interrupted by crevasses that indicated the presence of some rugged feature under the ice. Nearing Mount Vinson, we flew over the wide Nimitz Glacier west of the Vinson Massif and flowing southeast between the Sentinel Range and the Bastion Range in the central Ellsworth Mountains. Mount Vinson is in the Sentinel Range, which forms the northern half of the Ellsworth Mountains and was discovered from the air in 1935 by Lincoln Ellsworth, who in naming it recognized its prominent position as a landmark on an otherwise featureless ice surface. Along the flanks of the Sentinel Range were a number of ice falls resulting from glaciers flowing over steep drops which caused the glacier ice flow to speed up and become heavily crevassed. Reaching the head of the Nimitz Glacier, we turned and lined up for a landing on the Branscombe Glacier, where the Vinson Base Camp is located. Fortunately, we had excellent weather with not a cloud in the sky and a bright sun bathing the scene, even though it was after 9 p.m. The 24 hours of sunlight was paying off for us. The peak of the Vinson Massif was first summited in 1966 and required a major logistics effort by the U.S. Navy to get the climbing party to the mountain. Now, however, the logistics of getting to the Vinson Base Camp are eased by the services offered by ALE, a private company. Since 1993, the Vinson Base Camp has been on the lower Branscombe Glacier at 2,100 meters. From Base Camp, the standard route up Mount Vinson winds up to the lower camp, which is pitched at 2,700 meters. Each season, ALE rigs a fixed rope from the lower camp to the high camp at 3,850 meters. From the high camp, on summit day, climbers make the final push to the summit at 4,892 meters. I talked to a group of European climbers who had just returned to base camp having summited Mount Vinson. They took 2 days to reach the summit, but they were trapped at the high camp for 4 days whilst high winds confined them to their tents. These climbers were well on their way to completing the 7 Summits Challenge. The peak of the Vinson Massif in the distance looms over base camp, which provides motivation to climbers waiting for their ascent attempt. The camp's toilet with a view made a toilet break a scenic event. Because of COVID, nobody had been at the camp for a couple of seasons, so the permanent tents had to be dug out of the snow and raised back up to the surface, which left impressive holes behind. Soon it was time to leave base camp so that we could be back to the Union Glacier by midnight, as some of us were flying off first thing in the morning to the front of the Rhone ice shelf to see the Emperor Penguin colony at Gould Bay. Arriving back at Union Glacier near midnight, we lined up for a landing on the compacted snow runway beside the ALE camp and had a wonderful view of the Union Glacier area due to the beautifully clear sky and the 24 hours of sunlight. Nearing the snow runway, we flew over a large expanse of blue ice that is similar to the area of the natural blue ice runway on the Union Glacier. The runway is naturally crevasse-free, and strong winds flowing down from the surrounding mountains keep the runway generally free from snow. The compacted snow runway and ramp area are regularly groomed as flight operations are critical to ALE's operations. We deplaned at midnight and repaired to our tents to pack up and rest up for the next day's flight to the Emperor Penguin Colony on the Rhone ice shelf.
Take me somewhere nice, to some tired island in your heart called paradise.
If you enjoyed this film, please subscribe and like. There are many more similar films available on my channel.